Hello, my name is Grayson and welcome back to my booktube. So this video is going to be my August reading wrap-up and my to-be-read for the month of September. So for August, I ended up reading 12 books throughout the month. First of which was the Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. As I said in my last video, I've become a huge Schwab fanatic. She's definitely one of my instant buy authors now. And just as I loved Vicious, I really loved this series as well. So this is a pretty popular series. I feel like most people in the online book world kind of know about it already. But if not, this book is a fantasy where there is several different Londons that treat magic differently, and it follows Kel, who is a magician who can jump between the different Londons and the different universes. And it's him and the other main characters basically trying to stop the apocalypse after dark magic invades some of the other Londons. This series is amazing. I absolutely love the characters, especially Rai and Alucard. I have a huge crush on both of them. And for me, I have a very hard time getting involved in straight relationships in books. I always feel like they're kind of toxic and just not my style. And there's only like 3 straight relationships I've ever read that I liked. But this is definitely added to the list. I really did love Kel and Leela. Their relationship is actually so lovely. I love their character development. I love the slow burn. Really did enjoy every single aspect of this series. And I had such a bad book hangover when I finished it. Next book that I read last month was Petals to the Metal, which is the third The Adventure Zone graphic novel. I love The Adventure Zone so much. The Adventure Zone podcast was one of the few things that really got me through high school and my worst depression years. So getting to see this podcast turn into a gorgeous graphic novel with a gorgeous illustrator is just incredible. Like, I love Carrie Peisch and her artwork. Her depictions of the characters is incredible. And I love just getting to read this story again in a whole new format. So if you do not know, The Adventure Zone is a D&D podcast about 3 brothers and their dad that... Jesus Christ, how do I even describe The Adventure Zone? If anyone's listened to it, you have to know how weird and funky and all over the place it is. It's Dungeons & Dragons, it's fantasy, it's really funny and a really great story, and I recommend you listen to it, and if you don't listen to it, then you should definitely read the graphic novels, because they are just as funny and so gorgeous. Next thing I read is The Summer of Everything, which, who's this by again? Julian Winter's newest book. This is his 3rd book that's come out, and I've read all of his books, and I'm sad to say I don't think I'm going to read him anymore. His first book was Running with Lions, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5. I liked it a bit. Then I read How to Be Remy Cameron, which I gave a 2.5. And now this one, I gave a 2 out of 5. It's like every single book I end up rating lower. And I feel really bad, but I just don't like his books. They're just very boring to me. Like, all of his books are kind of exactly the same. And at this point, I'm like, okay. Basically the exact same plot, just a slightly different, just a few changes. I feel bad roasting this author, because I know a lot of people love him, and he is writing some incredible own voices books. But I've read all of his books, and I feel like they're getting worse with each one, and I don't think I'm going to be reading anymore. Next thing is I reread Symmetry Boys. Again, Symmetry Boys officially came out 2 days ago, and I am so happy. I've already spouted off everywhere about this book. You already know what's up about it. It's incredible. You should read it. If you didn't pre-order it, go buy it. I love this book. I'm so excited for my finished copy to come in and my pre-order merch. I'm so happy that this book exists, and I've now read it 5 times. It's very highlighted and marked up. I love this book. Next thing I read was The Full Profound Reeves, which is another advanced reader copy I had. I was so excited for this book for 2 very big reasons. First of all, it's that it does have trans representation. One of the main characters is a trans man, and then there's tons of other characters in it that are within the gender spectrum. And it also, like, has some amazing, like, transitioning magic. And another thing is that it is a YA novel, but the main characters are elders, and I feel like there's next to never books about elderly people, so I was excited to see that point of view. But this writing style was just not for me. I feel like some people would really love this writing style, but I read maybe a third of it before I was like, I have a headache. This writing style is just boring and long. It kind of reminded me of The Alchemist that I had to read in high school. So if you like The Alchemist, maybe you'll love this, but I despise The Alchemist, and sadly I did not like this book. Next book I read was The Last True Poets of the Sea. I know a lot of people really love this book, but I could not do it. I feel like I'm being very brutal in this video. I'm sorry, there was a lot of books I read last month that I have very strong, not great opinions on. My main qualm with this book, though, was that it is a love triangle, and I hate love triangles with a passion. It is my least favorite trope. I can't do love triangles, and that was one of the main focuses of this book, which just kind of ruined it for me. It's basically about this teen girl who has some mental health issues, so to try to recover, she goes to live with her uncle who lives in a seaside town. First she has a huge crush on this dude, then she has a huge crush on this girl, but then the dude and the girl also have huge crushes on each other, and it gets very complicated and very teen angsty, and I was just like, I'm not into it. Next book I read was Sergio Sons, which was yet another advanced reader copy I had, and I was so happy I got an advanced copy of this. So this book is a queer thriller novel, which is about a bunch of teens who are sent to an island in Costa Rica to go under conversion therapy. And I was very, very scared going in to read this book, because I do have a history with, I guess you would say, religious trauma. I went to a private Catholic school, so I wasn't really excited to read a book about, like, religious homophobia, and I was worried that that would maybe kind of trigger me, and I didn't know if I could read the whole thing, but I loved it. I will say it was super heavy to get through. Like, this book is heavy, especially for a young adult novel. Like, there were some scenes, and I was like, are we sure this isn't rated adult? So it's definitely a heavy read to get through, but it is so good. I absolutely adored all the characters in this book. And I need to give a huge shout out to Adam Sass for how he handled a trans character, because I see so many cis authors who, like, trying to make excuses for misgendering the trans character, being like, but it needs to be accurate, but it needs to do this. He wrote a whole book about conversion therapy and religious homophobia and transphobia, and didn't misgender his trans character once, and didn't give his trans character a dead name. Like, cis writers, just take notes. Like, Adam Sass did that so good, and I love how he depicted his trans character. Next book I read is probably going to be controversial, because I read The Starless Sea and did not like it. And I know this is a very popular and well-loved book, and I am so sad I did not like it. For the first, it's kind of a surrealist novel, kind of made me think of, like, A Wrinkle in Time and those sort of books. And when it comes to more surreal books, I just don't like them. And then also had a lot of, like, Alice in Wonderland feelings, which some people love, but for me, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, and I'm very confused, which made me sad, because it's like a gay, MLM, dark academia book, which I was like, yes, like, I love dark academia, I'm so for this, and I was so upset that I didn't like it, because the magic, I feel like some people absolutely adore the magic. Of course they do, because this book is popular, but it was just confusing to me. And for, like, the first 2/3, I really was enjoying it, but then I got bored, I got tired. I was like, okay, when is this ending? This is just going on for a bit too long for me, and the plot's very slow, there's not a lot of action. It's a slow book. Last book I read last month, which I can give a little bit of a rant to, is The Fascinators by Andrew L. Can I ever do even one of these videos without failing at one author's name? This dude. I am still so bitter about this book. So, I loved this book. It's magical realism, it's MLM, it's been compared to the Raven Cycle. I was in love with this book. I adored the magic, I adored the world building, I loved the characters. But then I got to the end. So already my book is misprinted. I have an advanced reader copy of this book. And about here, the books flip, so you have to read it backwards. So already I had a misprint of this book. So when I got to the end, I was like, is there another misprint? Am I missing like another couple dozen pages? But no, it really just ends like that. Like, this whole book is building up to like a huge scene and a huge conflict, and then it just putters out without ever getting to that scene. It just dies, and I'm like, okay, but what about the cult? And what about your best friends? And what about everything? Like, we're just gonna end it with nothing? Like, we have all this build-up, and then there's just nothing. Like, where is the ending? Like, I swear, like, I actually had to, like, go and, like, ask some people, like, is my book misprinted again? Because I don't know, so they already had one misprint. No! It really is just like that. There's just no ending. It just quits. I'm so upset and so frustrated. I feel like I've just been left hanging by this book, and I loved it. And then there's just no ending. That's the end of that rant. I need to chill out. So now to go on to my to-be-read list for the month of September. First thing which I'm reading in September, which I've already started, is my reread of the Green Creek series by T.J. Klune. So the last book in the series comes out in October, so to prepare, I am rereading the first 3 books. And if you have not read this series yet, please go read it. T.J. Klune is incredible, and I'm so happy that he's starting to become a name in the YA community now that he's been picked up by, I think it's Tor. But his books, even before he's published, his self-published books are... I love Wolfsong so much, and I'm so excited and so anxious for the 4th and last book in this series. So this book series is a gay werewolf novel, which sounds very cringy, but God, it's good. The plot and the character development and the angst, like, I am a fiend for some good angst in this book, and this series has made me cry so many times. It's amazing. And I need everyone to read it, and also I need everyone to love Robbie Fontaine, because I would literally lay down my life for Robbie Fontaine. He's one of my top 5 favorite book characters, and this is such a great series. Please try to read it before the last book comes out. You'll thank me. It's a great series. Next thing is I pre-ordered this month's Rainbow Creek book box for myself, now that I'm no longer representative for them. So I want to read some of the books that are being included in this book box, because most of them I actually haven't read. I've only read Wolfsong, which is included, and Symmetry Boys. So, first of all, I really want to read Gideon the Ninth, because there was much included for that in this month's Rainbow Crate. And since Hero the Ninth came out, I've been hearing so much hype for the series, and I feel like I'm missing out. Like, how have I not heard of this series before Rainbow Crate, and now it's everywhere, and lesbian necromancers? Why haven't I read this before now? So I definitely want to read that in September. That's probably the top one I want to read from the Rainbow Crate books, since I've been seeing so much love for it, and it sounds amazing. Next for the Rainbow Crate books is A Bloody Pearl, which is a novella about a non-binary mermaid, I believe, which sounds so cool. Like, there's barely any non-binary representation, much less in fantasy. So this book sounds super, super good. I'm really excited to read it, and I've heard some amazing reviews. And the last one for the Rainbow Crate books that I want to read next month is Timekeeper, which doesn't sound up my alley. It's apparently steampunk, and steampunk isn't really my cup of tea, and I've heard it's kind of like the writing in The Starless Sea, which makes me worried. So I'm going to give it a try, but I'll be surprised if I like it. And next books for September are my advanced reader copies for October. So first one I have is The Times I Knew I Was Gay, which is a graphic novel memoir, which I'm really excited for. The art style looks incredible, and I don't really know a lot more about it other than it's just a queer memoir in a graphic novel format, but it does look very, very pretty, and I'm very excited to get into it. Next is The Queer Advantage, which is a series of interviews with LGBT activists, I believe, talking about identity and what it means to be queer, which pretty excited for. I don't read a lot of nonfiction, so this is going to be a bit out of my comfort zone, so we'll see how I like it. And last thing I have is Swamp Thing, which is Maggie Stiefvater's newest graphic novel, which I haven't seen great reviews for, so I'm a little worried, but I love Maggie Stiefvater. She's one of my instant buys, so I'm excited to see how she does a graphic novel. And I don't know much about the artist, but the little bit I've seen, I really think I like the art style. So I'm praying that I like this graphic novel more than other people have. So that's all my books that I've read in August, and what I'm hoping to read in September. Hope you liked this video. Like, subscribe, come back for more.